This episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast is brought to you in partnership with ministryleague.com. We would love for more people to discover this show, so please rate and review us on iTunes or your podcast provider. Feel free to share on your social media and subscribe at benandtravis.com for the free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living.
Welcome into the Helping Healing Humor podcast with Ben and Travis. And, of course, Will Myhan is with us. We're super excited about that. Ben, how are you doing, man?
I am doing absolutely wonderful because I am at the greatest place on earth. I love Maywood Christian Camp. We have been coming here for 20-some-odd years.
You had to mention
together.
The years,
we're old. You know, kids ask us why we're not doing certain things every now and then, and I'm like, because I'm old enough to say no now. So, but I don't say no to a whole lot of it. We end up doing a lot of those things. But I'm excited to be here because it's just that shot in the arm. And I know a lot of our listeners out there either go to Maywood or you go to some other camp, and you probably think your camp is the greatest. That's okay. You can be wrong. I'm just kidding. That's not true. But I'm just thankful that we have these because I know a lot of kids and a lot of adults get a lot out of it. And Will's been coming with us forever, too. In fact, I'm pretty sure we were his counselors once upon a time.
It's been a few years. Missed a couple of years out in Dallas and in Tennessee, but made it back to God's country. So glad to be here. My wife and I fight is fourth week better or Jackie Fox week, which is now week 0.
And it's okay for her to be wrong.
So,
week 0.
I can say that, Will can't.
So they moved it to actually at the very end of May because it was running, because school's starting back so early. They were going into school, so now it's a week 0. So now we fight over, is week 0 better than week 4? So
4 is a higher number than 0.
I'm still standing at week 4. So
yeah, I'm going with it.
The real question is, when is Emmy coming? Week 4.
That's right. Exactly. And so today at Maywood, we are joined by someone who has made an impact on us. I mean, this has been a friendship that developed a long time ago when we were still campers, I think, and has bled over into us being counselors together and teachers together. And so who we first knew as Pam Lenz now is joining us today. And I'm going to let Pam tell a little bit about what she does. I know, number one, she's a listener of the podcast, so we're excited about that, just to know that there is at least one person who will text us every so often and go, hey, I heard the podcast and it was good. So we at least have one person who lies to us.
Lies every week.
And but it still boosts us, makes us feel good that Pam listens. But Pam also is, we're the Helping Healing Humor podcast. Pam is a helper, and she's done a lot of healing in her time with working with kids. So tell us just a little bit about what you do.
I am a middle school counselor. I work with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders and their parents because it is a most challenging time.
Yes, God bless you.
Bless your heart.
You're a rock star.
It is a hard time for kids. It's a hard time for parents because all of a sudden their child is different and in no way like anything they remember, and they want their child back. And I work with a great group of teachers who are young and innovative, and I'm one of the oldest in the building. I have been with Tuscumbia City Schools for 26 years, about to start my 27th.
Nice.
I know, it's nice.
But, so how old are you? No, I'm kidding. Just
old?
No.
I am young.
How young are you?
I feel it every day.
Just kidding.
Especially here at Maywood. But I have actually worked in all 4 of our schools as a counselor. So I have been with the itty bitties in kindergarten, and then I've been a high school counselor all the way to the 12th grade. And I do like middle school. I like the element of that job, and I have wonderful job security. They always need a counselor. I feel as if, that will definitely be a job that will be there.
Not getting rid of any school counselors anytime soon.
No.
That's like they say, prayer's not allowed in schools, but math tests will always bring out a prayer every once in a while.
Yes.
Always.
As long as they're in math tests, there'll be prayer at school. So they'll always need a counselor.
So how did you get into school counseling? Has that been like the goal, or it just kind of happenstance?
I I taught in Memphis for a while, and I actually, for 2 years, and I actually took my Miller's analogy test to go to the University of Memphis. It was Memphis State at the time. Got accepted in, but then got a job offer at Freed-Hardeman. Kind of went, meh, and then went and thought, well, I don't know that I want to do that. And then started teaching, and this really great school counselor came in, and she was like, that's what I want. I'm like, that's what I want to do. And so then I went back to school, job opening came. They didn't have anyone that was certified, and so I went through my degree and I was still a school counselor, but I was working as the school counselor without the degree because no one had applied for it. So kind of
Very cool.
Worked well in there. But,
So Maywood is a perfect place for you to come and help. I mean, there's all kinds of people to serve here. And so I imagine, as we talked about, a shot in the arm, like it's not a good year if I've missed Maywood. And I usually feel that about October because I teach kids too, and it's like, man, those years I didn't come, I'm like, oh, I missed that. I feel that. So we're very thankful to have you here and serving in that capacity. But we did want to talk a little bit about Maywood. We typically do an episode with some of our favorite people, or three, where we talk about the Maywood Journey. Last year we talked to Jeff Goff, who kind of runs the show here. The year before last we had Will and Jason Brederick and Wiley Dean. Special guest that showed up surprisingly.
He almost just showed up again.
He almost showed up again.
He was just about to. I think you saw the light and it ran.
So, now we have Pam. So tell us a little bit about, and I think most of our listeners probably have a Christian camp they went to, and so hopefully you've got that near and dear to your heart. If not, we encourage you to go serve and join in that ministry. And as you probably can hear, we are at camp, so you're going to hear screaming and yelling from the volleyball court or cars
water
driving
running,
by.
Cicadas, all sorts of stuff.
So you get a little bit of atmosphere if you can't be at one this summer. We're bringing a little bit of peace to you. But, Pam, if you could share with us maybe some spiritual things that you've experienced here at camp or other camps. It doesn't have to be Maywood, although we're kind of sticking with the Maywood theme. I know you go to Horizons at Freed.
I do, yes.
And serve there. But, if there's something about Maywood, I know if you're like me, that's like a big, long list that we could spend the rest of the day talking about.
Best to narrowing
There's
it down.
something,
Do you know about how long you've been at Maywood? How long have you been coming to Maywood?
I came when I was 10. Probably came about 4 years in there. And then my friends didn't come. That's where I met Karen. We were both campers together. That's fun to go.
That's our other listener.
Both of them.
There's two
Shout out.
listeners. Got it.
Shout out to our entire audience right here today.
Then, actually, when I worked at Freed-Hardeman, they gave me a summer job of traveling to camps. And that had to be one of the best things for me because I was
That's cool.
an introvert. And
What?
I know.
Yeah, when did that happen?
Well,
when
it
did
was
that change occur?
all before that because I walked into camps from Florida to Georgia, all over, and I didn't know anyone. So I was forced to start talking to people.
Yeah.
I did not die.
That's
and
awesome.
my tongue, nothing fell off. I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I know. I was like, this is really good. The shocker is that not everyone, some people dress up at camp. And I really struggled with that at first because I'm like, Maywood, I was like, I wear my grungy, I brought all that, and I went to a camp that I'm not going to name. And I'm like, they're all dressed up. Well, when you walk in, at night and you are dressed like I am right now, and I'm like going, okay.
You got judgment stares.
Well, and then I'm supposed to be recruiting for Freed-Hardeman. I'm like, hello. We all don't dress like this. And please come to Freed-Hardeman. And but we, it was great doing that. And then it was a while when I moved back to Florence, that area, the Shoals area. I had been gone from the Shoals area for about 10 years. So it was about a year or two, and then it was like they need counselors. And I'm sure that I knew Matt, and I would go to the singings or whatever that was around, and he was like, you need to go to camp. And I'm like, I do need to go to camp. And so then that started. I know I don't know how long, because I think I did take a break when I had Caleb.
Okay.
Because he,
But I'm fairly certain you were a counselor during our last couple of years as campers.
I remember.
So that's getting pretty close
I definitely remember Travis.
That's getting pretty close to 20 years ago. Why would you remember Travis? Is what I'm curious. Why?
Now we're supposed to be doing the serious spiritual stuff first before you throw me under the bus.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It is a shocker that I have ever worked with middle schoolers after hanging out with meeting Travis.
Yes.
Yes.
He's run a million people.
I'm not sure when I really met Travis, but I know the time he made an impact on me, because I was turning 30.
Traumatic event.
And it is very.
Turning 30.
I remember I was like in that summer, and I was like, oh, I'm turning 30. You just get all, I don't want anyone to call me ma'am. I mean, that's where I was. Now I'm like, call me ma'am, but then I'm like, no, why are you calling me ma'am? So I'm,
That's a long pause.
She just gave him a death stare.
And then there's Travis, and so we're at Burger King. Do you remember?
I remember
that?
I remember being at Burger King. It was after.
I think that was Matt's favorite place to hang out. I don't
we
know.
went there all the time.
And it was a Sunday night, and so I just kind of come in there, and Travis walks up to me and he said, "Are you Matt's mama?"
Now, how old is Matt at this point?
2 years younger than me, or less. And of course, I am
Matt Gargis, by the way.
And then I'm like, it's a wonder he had a head.
I'm surprised you survived. There's a lot of things I'm surprised that Travis has survived. That is at the real
Actually,
close to the
today
top of the
during
list.
our Bible class, I was like, I can't believe I survived as long as I did. Somebody didn't take me to a body of water, put me on some concrete shoes, and throw me in. So a lot of grace and mercy that have shown to me, especially by our wonderful guests, beautiful, awesome guests.
Well, that was
today.
just one of those really a great memory, because it's forever been then, hey, Matt's mom, and so it's just funny, and it's one of those times that it just kind of really stabbed when you're like getting old and you don't want to be, and then here comes somebody.
And at the time we thought 30 was, we did think it was old, and now we're 40,
pretty young.
And we were looking in the mirror this morning. Yeah, both of us were looking in the mirror this morning and trying to figure out how much gray is in our beard.
And don't you go, man, to be 30 again?
To be 30 again.
It's wonderful in the 30s.
Yeah. There's at least
as a transition from my mistake many years ago. Like I said, if you could give us, something that really, either an activity that we do that you look forward to, which once again the list is long, or maybe even a specific event where Maywood has impacted your spiritual, walk, of course.
There are many things. I think the singing and hearing those voices come down off that hill, there's nothing like that. The friends that I end up back here with, and then feeling that connection of people where Christianity is very important to them, and you just we don't have that always in our everyday life. I don't. I work around some great people, and it's just a great to be in that family. But I would have to say my favorite thing that I've been doing the last few years is teaching girls. And I just love that. First of all, I want the girls to see that it's okay for a girl to teach, to be a leader, and that's hard for girls. And it's okay to be yourself, and to study the word and spread the word. And it may not, and it's different. I think our girls need to hear a female perspective. And no offense to you guys, but a lot of times illustrations are always about male characters in the Bible, and we don't always get on the women unless it's Jezebel. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
She's a character in the Bible.
I know. But they just it's just a different aspect.
Absolutely.
And we're real emotional people, and then you got to hear that from someone. But I love watching the girls. I love it when they tell me things that I didn't think of, and they're showing that they are spiritually strong or that they are mature. Yeah. And I'm like, wow, I was not like you when I was 14. And they encourage me tremendously, and And that's what I love about Horizons. For a while, I was on the planning portion, and I really missed the teaching portion. And I was kind of glad to get, kind of step back out of that. And now I'm back to teaching, and I like that. I like that connection. And sometimes I don't know all their names. I mean, I don't know them, but hearing their comments, they just encourage me more than, I don't feel like I encourage them as much as they do.
Well, we were in the Q&A today, and the girls get to ask a question, and you just batten down the hatches because they're going to challenge you, and that's good. And they challenge us, and I'm so thankful for that period that we have every day where people get to do those things. And I think it makes people uncomfortable, but in a good way, because once again, a bunch of guys up there on the panel, and it's like, oh, I'm emotional, and they're showing that you can be emotional, and it's okay, and open. And I always look forward to that, because I know there's some girl that's going to come in there and they're going to drop some question, and you're like, that is profound and a mature thing. And it's like, I'm 40 years old and I don't have an answer for it, unfortunately. But, it's a journey. We like to use that word, Maywood Journey.
And every year when we start doing the Christian Leadership Awards, there's just a laundry list of girls that come to mind, and it's like, you almost hate to give the award to one person because there's so many girls, and there's a lot of guys too.
There's
but
only
generally,
like 3 or 4.
Generally, there's a list this long of the girls. But you go into our churches and you see the same thing. You've got male leadership, but you have a lot of females who hold congregations together.
They're the backbone.
They are, and I've always kind of jokingly said, but I'm not sure if it's a joke. That God told the men to lead because they might not have if he hadn't given them a direct command. The women would have just taken over, and so because they are that backbone so many times. And another thing I was thinking about camp, and I don't know if this is the case for you too, because you said you came as a camper a little bit, but I don't know that all the kids recognize and understand that. Like, I loved it as a camper. But I'm not so sure that, they said that, like, all these counselors down here are here for you kids. And I was thinking, yeah, I'm here for you, but it's helping me too. Like I had to kind of take a step back and go, okay, yeah, I am here for the kids, because I am. But I love that aspect of it, working with them. But I leave, with that shot in the arm, even as an adult. And I think as an adult, it's a smaller group of us who've stayed for that period of time. But all of us kind of leave going, man, I'm blessed to be able to do this with these kids.
And when I think about this last year, my 2 favorite weeks of the year, it's Maywood and Horizon. Sometimes they're back to back, and it's a killer. Of times, But when I'm done, the other 50 weeks of the year, it's like, all right, something and it kind of does. And I told the ladies in my Bible class, I said, go to some youth things, because when you become an adult, you really don't get those boosts as much at all. And it's like, just go volunteer at a youth event, and all of a sudden you're like singing. I mean, it's just different. It's freer. I think, like, here at Maywood, look at us. There's no makeup. There's you're just you. And so you're more vulnerable, and so you'll just kind of, and everyone smells. And I didn't,
especially the middle schoolers.
Tell me when we can shift to funny. But I remember I visited one time, and I think it was a time that I wasn't here, and I came and visited, and I went up in the stands and sat down, and I'm like, and then I went, that's what we smell like all the time out here. I remember going, yes. Oh, yeah, okay.
Quite literally binds us together in some situations. You're sticky. You're sticky.
He's like, for a week, their noses are not going to work.
Now, you're teaching in the cafeteria.
Yes, the cool spots. And
we're doing
that would be Isaac's Inn. I had to be reminded of the name again.
Fruit of the Spirit, and it's nice. It's pretty much brand new, and it's awesome. Nice. Now you've got, if I understand it correctly, you've got the papers on the wall of all the fruit of the Spirit. And you're explain a little bit of what you're doing, because it's cool. I walked by it a couple of times, like, when they finish this old preacher's going to come through and take a couple of pictures and kind of use that, but you're allowing them to kind of, I won't say graffiti because there's paper.
Well, I've learned that I can tell kids what I believe, but the best thing is for them to read the God's Word themselves. And so many times they just trust what we say, or they follow people so much. And I want them to read God's Word. And so our book this time is just really great. I mean, it's laid out beautifully for what I do. But we had 4 scripture. They sit in groups, and I do groups with them because so many times they will sit and never talk through 2 hours worth of class, maybe. But they're sitting together, and then they have to. Someone reads the verse out loud. Then they tell, what does that verse mean? They write it on a Post-it note. Then we share. And they'll do that with all 4 of those verses. Then there's the question: how does this look in real life? And then they work together as a group. Then they report it back. I don't do a lot of teaching. I just facilitate, and I will hang on something they say, talk about that a little bit more, and I just want them to read God's Word and know how to apply it in their life, and what does it look like.
You sound like a counselor.
I know.
Yeah.
I was about to say, that was one of my, for the people that have never been to Maywood, coming into the mess hall for lunch every day is like, what did Miss Pam put on the wall? You know, it's
really?
It's always been something I've gone by
I go that
and
way
looked
quite
at.
a bit.
It's kind of like,
so, I'm like, glance over, pick up a little something. So,
kind of something I've always done.
It's like really cool chairs, and I wish you guys had heard his lesson Sunday night. Yeah. My girls keep talking about the chairs, and we keep referring back to the chairs. Where are you? So great way to start off this week.
It was a good way to start it off, and I think that tells you too. You have more than an impact on just the girls. You have an impact on a lot of the other people who are here, and you have for a long time. And so we appreciate you. Know that you have not only an impact at Maywood, but then you leave here and you go into the city schools and you have an impact there too. And so we appreciate your work. You're the real MVP. So,
which is kind of the cool part of camp. If you've never been to camp, it's like the relationships that you form are not necessarily relationships you would form outside of camp, where it's like, man, I'm learning from the 14-year-old girl's teacher, and it's like, you just don't see that everywhere. And
or I'm learning from the 14-year-old girls or the, the 12-year-old boys or whatever. They're teaching you stuff, and they're, it's like there's almost this level of there's not, there is and there's not. We're divided into some age groups, but everybody hangs out with everybody, Philip Jenkins had the lunch lady thing. I was sharing that with some of our people who were serving, but it's that concept of we're treating everybody, hopefully. That's the intent. And I feel like we do that for the most part, try to treat everybody the same, and you get encouraged by everybody.
Pam, we are so thankful that you joined us.
Well, thank y'all for
or at least
having
these
me.
guys are thankful that you
we
joined
were thankful.
us.
Right,
No, I love you greatly, and even more so when I realize how much grace and mercy you showed me.
You realize it then when you're
by not letting me have it, like you probably should have. So I'm very thankful for that. But thank you, Pam, for being with us.
I enjoyed it.
Thanks for being with us for this episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast. Be sure to download our free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living, at benandtravis.com and receive all of our Helping Healing and Humor extra content directly in your inbox. We look forward to having you join us at the same Ben and Travis time, same Ben and Travis channel.